Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be running through as to why WWE 2K23 should have been a patch update. Plain and simple. If you really look at it, 2K23 is nothing more than just a copy and paste of 2K22. Only thing difference is the attires on the wrestlers. If you take a look at John Cena's model here, he's rocking his most recent black t-shirt of the 20 years of John Cena versus the last year. They had that green color for like the last 3 years, literally 3 years of the same green shirt, and he still has the same green trons in the back. You can see the graphics in the background are all still green. So that goes to show, that's the first thing you kind of notice right off the bat. The model looks relatively a little bit better, maybe a little bit of contrast and pigmentation to the skin, nothing too shabby, but it relatively is just the same model from the year before, just different t-shirt, different wristbands, all that good stuff. Same thing applies to if you look at the mechanics. The mechanics look no different than they were last year. The commentary is no different. Maybe you also notice, the only is that there's a little bit more sweat on the models, and maybe they redid the faces a little bit more. You take a look at Seth Rollins right here. He really looks no different than he did the year before. And I think what 2K really lacks is the ability to implement updated quality versus quality versus I don't even know what other word to use. It's just the quality of their game since they picked up the contract in 2014. 2014 was a good game. 2015 was hit or miss. 2016 was alright. 2017 was a botchery. 18, improvement from 17. 19, perfect. 20, terrible. We discussed this just last year when 2K22 was dropping, and how a huge improvement it was from 2K20. It was ugly. It was just atrocious. You look here, Roman Reigns' model. This is his model from, well, let's have a look. Looks like 2K22. It looks no different. It's just somebody used the mod to improve the texture of the belts to make the belt pop out. I mean, come on. Look at these people. They created a championship that looks better than the 2K model of the championship. We could stop right here. You could literally see it. The belt around Roman Reigns' waist, which is the WWE Championship, is a 2K made championship. You look at the Universal, which is the one Paul Heyman is holding. Someone created that on Community Creations. The Community Creation model looks better than the 2K model. I mean, what else could you say? You may as well just take 2K23 and just patch it over and call it, the 2023 update. I mean, come on. Let's be realistic. The only thing difference, that, like I said before, the only thing that they added this time, female referees, war games, and a new voiceover for the referee who counts pinfalls and submissions. Finally has a new voiceover, which has had the same voiceover since SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. Point blank period. They have done a huge disservice to us since they picked up this contract. Let's see. They picked up 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And then after 20 being so bad, they took a year off to rework the entire game. All the physics, the mechanics, the fluidity, everything. But instead they give us 2K Battlegrounds, which was it was a shitstorm in itself. Me working at GameStop at the time, 2K Battlegrounds did not sell. It was terrible. The fact of the matter is like 2K, you guys really need to start paying attention to this kind of stuff. The stuff that you are adding versus the stuff that you're not. For years, people have been asking for My GM mode. Yes, you guys brought it back last year's game, but it lacked a lot of features, such as, well, online GM mode. The match types were limited. You only had tag team matches and single matches. You couldn't do multi-title matches. You couldn't do fatal four-ways. You couldn't do triple threats. You couldn't really stretch out the excitement of what it's like to be a general manager. That is the only downside to bringing back My GM mode. Looking at it this year, from all the other reviews that you see for 2K23, it really isn't much different than last year. They maybe stretched out match types a little bit, but not too far. So that goes to show right then and there, well, there lies the problem, is 2K's ability to listen to what the fans are demanding. THQ, when they had the contract back in 2005 till 2011, I'm sorry, 2000 and actually they've had the contract since I think it was WWF SmackDown Just Bring It, all the way up until WWE 13. So literally, you could drag that out 15, 16 years that THQ had the contract for WWE games. They listened to what people had to say. They wanted more realistic physics. They did that with SmackDown vs. Raw 2011 with the TLC matches where the you could have multiple tables, multiple chairs, multiple ladders, fold them up, break them in half, stack the tables, chairs, all that good stuff. SmackDown vs. Raw 2008 brought that ground and pound stuff in there. You mount on your opponent, you just beat them down with your fist. Boom, boom, boom. Environmental attacks. SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Bouncing your opponent's head off the steel steps, bouncing it off the barricade. If you're a bad guy, you can grab the crowd sign, tear it up. Fighting in the crowd. This was when the first time that fighting in the crowd was exciting was SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. You drag that out over the years, it was removed actually until 2K15. Or no, sorry, 2K14. Not much big changes when 2K picked up the contract. They reverted back to a lot of old stuff and kind of said, fuck it, out with the new. That's just not the way to go about it. WWE games have been struggling for almost a decade now. That's simply because, well, 2K has picked up the slack. I do believe they were working partially on WWE 12 and WWE 13, and that's why sometimes a little bit, when you're kind of looking at WWE 12 and 13 and then you're playing a 2K game, they kind of look the same because, well, 2K may have had a hand in the production of the games before they actually took on the contract full time. Now, if you really look at what 2K's really done, they've actually done a lot of improvements in 22. When 2022 dropped, 2K22 was a huge success. They reworked the combat, they reworked the facial recognition software, they reworked the blood, they reworked the sweat. I think they reworked the sweat too much to where there wasn't enough sweat actually being seen on the models, to where like literally it doesn't look like they even like had a match. It looks like they were just like literally having a wrestling match, and these guys had no perspiration. It's almost like they were just a bunch of dehydrated models that don't sweat. I think that's where they kind of made the mistake and just didn't bother to fix it. But if you really look into the detail of the combat and everything else, the targeting was reworked, because if you, let's think about it. You play WWE 2K20, 2K19, going backwards. You try to do a diving attack on an opponent, you're literally setting yourself up to just either land on the announce table, land on the floor, or go head first into the steel steps. The targeting was awful. Point blank, period. 2K22 drops, it's almost spot on. Very rare do you ever have a chance in a match to where you go for a move and you don't hit your opponent directly. Why do I believe that 2K23 should have been just a patch update to 22? There really isn't much that's changed than last year's game. Maybe a model here and there that, you know, oh, well, over the course of the year, this superstar got 2 new tattoos, or this superstar here's got a scar on their face, or something like that. Just the small little details, and they could have just done that through a patch update and just called it a day. Now, if they were adding like 5 new match types, or, you know, reworking a superstar's entrance or something, then I can understand, okay, whole new game, whole new rework. But all this is the same stuff. Paul Heyman's wore the same suit since, well, let's see, the first game he was in since his return to the WWE was 2K15. He's had the same suit. Yeah, people can go on a rant and say, hey, man, you go to Community Creations, or you can go to pull out Paul Heyman's model and just create a new suit for him and then just add it as an alternate attire. He's just a manager. You just can't wrestle with him. I get it. Totally understandable. You know, but this game could have simply just been a patch update. All they had to do was just add the new rosters. Add the new wrestlers to the patch update. We're adding 30 plus new superstars and this and that. Or if they want to patch update the superstars' attires to where they have a different one every year, go for it. But at this point, I think them just spitting out a new game every year with little to no changes is just a waste of time and just a waste of the fans' time. Point blank, period. There really isn't much to go on this. There really isn't. It's just a simple rant. 2K, get your shit together. If you're going to spit out a game for WWE every year, if there are major changes, bump up on the major changes. Because every year it just seems like you guys are improving less and less and less, to where the previous game could just exist and you could just put out a patch update and just add the new stuff. That's pretty much what it's come down to at this point. There really isn't much of a difference. And, you know, the pyrotechnetics look great. The graphics look great. The arenas look great. All the models look great. And the gameplay looks great. But the changes are just so to a minimum. It's just like, well, I could have just kept my copy of 2K22 and just created this person, this person, this person, and it's the same game. Maybe even the Trons change a little bit. You know, they won't say head of the table this year for Roman Reigns. It'll say something totally different. It'll say Bloodline or something. It's just, Logan Paul's, his didn't even change. He's still in that same bumblebee ass looking attire he had last year. There really isn't much to go on and much to really talk about with 2K23. It's just 2K22's twin with very few tweaks and improvements. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Small little rant. Be really appreciated if you guys drop that like button, subscribing to the channel if you're new, ring the notification bell for more content just like this. Let me know how I did today, and I think none of this was even displayed. It was. But I guess we'll find out. But with that said, guys, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.